Welcome back to the Sam JW channel, and for the first time since the 26th of March 1999, Oxford United have won an away game in the second tier. Let's talk about a 1-0 win against Millwall at the Den on New Year's Day. So yes, for the first time in over 26 years, Oxford United have won an away game in the second tier of British football. And this was a performance that I think it's fair to say it's the kind of away performance you'd expect to see from a side near the bottom of the table that haven't won an away game all campaign. I mean, there are definitely some lucky moments for Oxford. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think Gary Rowett, going back to his own stomping ground, this was a really good managerial performance from Gary Rowett. The players put in everything they had, and with that elusive win away from home is finally ours. Gary Rowett, for the third game in a row, named an unchanged lineup. Not something that is it's not a very common thing for Oxford to name unchanged lineup for game after game after game. But Rowett trusts this lineup. It did foreshadow a potential or say bit of business that is going to happen in this window, but again we'll talk about the transfer window in a little bit. So of course Jamie Cummings started in goal, Sam Long at right back, Elliot Moore and Kieran Brown in the centre of the defence, Greg Lee at left back, Will Vaulks and Cameron Brannigan as the double sixes, Ruben Rodrigues ahead of them, Shemmy Placheta back out on the right hand side, Tyler Goodrum on the left hand side, and Mark Harris up top. Look, for Millwall, obviously we've already played in this season, 1-1 draw. And obviously, Havertan Gang was the man that got the goal at Grenoble Road. We obviously know Jensen is who's the goalkeeper for Lincoln when they were challenging us for that playoff spot. Obviously on the bench also Femi Azeez, former Reading man. So he got a very, we'll say, warm reception from the Oxford fans when he came on. But I think, look, the momentum chart says it all. The home side dominated the majority of the ball. Obviously, this is Alex Neil's first game in charge of Millwall, and from what I've been seeing from Millwall fans' takes on the game, he's got a lot of work to do. Let's look at the first half statistics. Both sides fairly evenly matched. Rodrigues was the most dangerous player for Oxford. He had two really decent opportunities. Fortunately, just couldn't put either in the back of the net. There were large spells of this game, obviously, when Millwall were camped in our half, especially in the opening, I'd say like 20 minutes, I think. If we look here, kind of Oxford's first real peak of possession in this game is in the 23rd minute. If this is consistent dominance from the home side, but they couldn't find the opening. Some good saves by Jamie Cummings to keep it that way. And I guess we have to talk about the first very lucky moment for Oxford United. Obviously we've not been given a penalty this season, and it seems that at the moment referees decided, well, Oxford aren't getting pens, so we're not going to give pens against them. Because, look, Will Vaulks is a very lucky boy, like Brannigan was in the one against Plymouth. Very lucky boy. It's played down the right-hand side, and but it was Roman Esse, who was a nightmare all game. He'd managed to get into the area, and it's on the line of the 18-yard box. But look, any referee that makes that call, if it's on the line, it's technically inside the box, so should have been awarded a penalty. Very unlucky Ruben Azeez not to be awarded that pen. And yeah, like I say, Will Vaulks is a very, very lucky boy. Wouldn't be the last time that we got away with a potential penalty being not awarded for the home side. But again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Look, there was, I think it was this from Shemmy Placheta. Shemmy again looking like our most dangerous man in the wide areas. His electric pace and the fact that he's now taking on his man, making it even more difficult for opposition fullbacks to deal with him. At times he was taking on 2 Millwall men and beating them. Yeah, this lad is in a very special vein of form at the minute. There was also another effort that was flashed across the face of the Millwall goal. Jensen scrambling, Harris couldn't poke it home. Another instance where we've just not been, whether it be Scarlett, whether it be Harris, whether it be Rodrigues, not able to anticipate when the ball's going to come across for the perfect momentum to just get a very easy tap in. But look, that was kind of the brightest spark from Oxford. If we look at kind of actually with the ball, the home side ever so slightly better with the ball. Obviously, like I said, they were much the better side in the first half, in the first period of the first half, I should say. But yeah, not really able to create an awful lot. They have one big chance that they miss. This is when I think it's flashed across the face score. Might have been by George Honeyman, I think it might have been, and it's kind of taken a bounce off. I think it might have been off Sam Long's standing foot, and he sweeps it away with his right. Jamie Cumming making a couple of big saves, like I say. There's one really good save down to his low left-hand side, where the ball is struck from just outside the area, and he managed to claw it round the post. And yeah, we go into half-time, 0-0. I think on the balance of the game, like I say, if Millwall should have been awarded a penalty in my view, but we definitely grew into the second period of the first half. So I think on the balance of play, maybe it's fair to go in 0-0. Now, real concern for Oxford United at half-time because Elliot Moore is subbed off injured. Now, according to Gary Rowett in his post-match interview with BBC Radio Oxford, he felt something in his groin. Shemmy Placheta also felt something in his hamstring. Shemmy played obviously until the 70th minute, but Elliot had to come off, which meant, of course, Peter Kioso goes to right back, Sam Long coming in to centre back alongside Kieran Brown. And I have to say, second half, that defence, it was very, very, it was very assured. It was very, for the most part, I'd say it was a fairly comfortable second half for the defence. Again, we'll get onto another potential, probable penalty for the home side in a minute. But yeah, at the time I thought when I see Elliot Moore go off, oh shit, this is about to go badly wrong. Because we've seen what can happen when Elliot goes off and our defence we're lacking a leader in there. Fair play to Longy, he did step up. Peter Kioso put in a really good performance, I thought. And yeah, it's good to see that we've got players who can step up and fill the shoes of, arguably our most important centre back. Even though, of course, we have talked about in previous games, he's not been at his strongest as Elliot Moore. But, really good performance in the second half by the defence. So, this second half, look, obviously, for the most part, the home side do dominate. But for the most part, that is kind of after we've taken the lead, after we've gone a goal up. There's just Alex Neil's side frantically trying to get back in the game. There was a lot of leading up to the goal from Ruben Rodrigues, which again we'll talk about in a minute. A lot of really good bits of play being put together down, especially the right hand side. Shemmy Placheta having a lot of joy down that left-hand side, or Millwall's left-hand side, his right, against Joe Bryan. And yeah, from what I saw, Millwall fans were not happy with Joe Bryan's performance. You know, understandable. He's given the runaround by our sensational Polish wide man, who gets another assist. It's really, really brilliantly worked. So I think it's fed from, might be Will Vaulks, down the right-hand side to Shemmy Placheta, and he drives past Bryan, whips it in, and Ruben Rodrigues. It's an interesting cross because it's in that range where you think Tanganga or his centre-back partner should be getting there, but I think they misjudged the flight of the ball. They jump too early, and it just floats in. Ruben Rodrigues is able to nod it home. The man on the line for Millwall isn't able to keep it out, and the away end we go absolutely balmy as Oxford United lead away from home. Obviously not the first time that we've led away from home. Not the first time Ruben Rodrigues has scored a goal away from home to give us a lead. But nice to see for Ruben, this one does result in a 3 points. Obviously, all of his goals have interestingly come away from home and in the rain, not just in bad rain, the pissing rain. I don't know what is. Ruben seems to be a bit of a master in the wet conditions at the minute. But yeah, it's really good delivery by Shemmy Placheta, and Ruben does really well to reach the ball. Obviously, questions can be asked about Jensen in the Millwall goal. The fact he's not kind of making the call for his defender to get the hell out of the way. Although, you know, to be fair to him, do you think with the height of the ball, maybe the defender can clear it? It literally bounces off the top of his head onto the crossbar and nestles in the back of the net. Frankly, does go down as Ruben's goal. And then for the rest of the half, obviously, as we saw there, it's the majority again controlled by Millwall, possession, but not an awful lot coming from that possession for the home side. And I think it's fair to say that this is the main kind of indicator of just how, I'm not going to say how resolute defensive performance, but I think that for the most part there wasn't an awful lot troubling this defence, and that's one shot on target over the 8 shots. A lot of kind of very awkward angles being taken here. Well, you know, it's twice there from Femi Azeez. Tanganga having his header blocked. Watmore going well wide. Honeyman, this I remember this one specifically. Basically, it comes to him from, I think it's Femi Azeez, on the left hand side. It's drilled across, and he's tried to trivela it. He's tried to hit it on the outside of his boot, and he's completely buggered it up, and it goes well over the bar. And the Millwall fans were not impressed from what we heard from the home fans. This is the only shade that James got to make down to his right hand side from Joe Bryan. Yeah, obviously, you'd expect the home side to dominate the ball, and you know, fair to say they were better with the ball. A lot of long clearances from Oxford, and I think it's fair to say that might be his only criticism of the second half, is that we weren't better with the ball. But I think overall he'd be pretty happy with the fact that the players put in this strong defensive performance. Obviously, there is another probable penalty not awarded to Millwall. It's worked down the left-hand side. I think it's Femi Azeez who is basically Ter Avest comes through the back of him, and yeah, it's very fortunate for the Dutchman that it's another penalty not awarded to the home side. You know, we've had decisions go against us, and I completely empathise that, you know, you'd be absolutely seething with the fact you're not awarded that penalty, or one of the first half, for that matter. But you know, try as they must, Millwall couldn't find that equaliser, and like I say, we get our first away win in the Championship in 26 years. So let's go through the lineup very quickly. Jamie Cumming gets Fotmom's man of the match. I would have gone more for maybe Peter Kioso or Shemmy Placheta. But Jamie does make a couple of big saves to deny the home side the lead, if not an equaliser. Big performance from Jamie Cumming. Sam Long, I thought he out at right back. I thought he was getting a little bit the runaround from Watmore, from Langstaff. But I will say I thought he looked a lot better when playing in the centre of the defence. He looked so controlled when he was in there. Really good performance. Second half performance, especially from Sam Long. Ellie Moore, like I said, had to come off at half time. But I thought he was putting a relatively stable performance in that first half. Won all of his headers, which is always good to see, because we've got 6 or 5 centre half. You don't want to be losing your headers. Kieran Brown, another very good defensive performance from Kieran. It's what in recent form under Rowett we've come to expect from Kieran Brown. He's been very stable, very the go-to man in the centre of the defence. Greg Lee, there's been some discourse about Greg's performance around the Oxford fan base. I thought first half he was struggling to keep the ball under control, and he was getting caught a few times. Obviously, he wins all his headers. That's standard for Greg. Second half, I thought he looked a lot better. So I think the fact that his second half performance definitely picked up and kind of made up for his first half performance. I think at least. Vaulks and Brannigan. Vaulks, obviously, he's very lucky to not concede a penalty. But I would say I think second half performance he was pretty good. Will Vaulks, and same can be said with Cameron Brannigan. Gets the only booking of the game, and I thought Cam was fair. We spoke about it before that if Cam can kind of go under the radar and have a stable performance, that's probably best for him, because it means he's not having to drag the team around him. Pretty good buy for Cam. Goodrum came off in the 90th minute with 4 minutes of added time. I thought Goodrum he struggled in the second half, I think. I thought he looked a lot better in the first half, combining with Rodrigues, combining with Harris. But overall, I thought he did start to fade in that second half. Shemmy, again, another assist. 2 goals and 2 assists in 3 matches under Gary Rowett. I don't know what they're doing on the training pitch or what Shemmy Placheta has had said to him by Gary Rowett, but Rowett is absolutely changing this lad's fortunes, and I mean it's great to see, because obviously he came in with this big reputation, former Polish international, and we were thinking, oh no, he's not showing much, if anything, as Shemmy Placheta, but he's stepped up in the last couple of games under Gary Rowett, and he's looked really good. And I've seen some Oxford fans comparing to kind of the trajectory Josh Murphy had in his Oxford career, which I think is, it's a fairly decent comparison. Ruben obviously gets the goal. Ruben was superb. He did try a couple of his fancy tricks, but I think Ruben's main big point in this game was the way he used his body, the way he used his strength to hold off the midfielders for Millwall when they're trying to dispossess him in our own half in the first period of the game. Really good performance from Ruben. Obviously has 2 big chances in that first half, and then slots the one away in a second. And then Harris didn't have an awful lot to do. As always, ran his socks off. Obviously the goal, flash across the face goal that you couldn't quite put in the back of that. But workhorse Mark Harris, unlucky to not get on the score sheet. But I think it's fair to say that in this kind of game, you were always expecting that the striker was going to have a bit of a tough time. Subs all 5 used again. Peter Kioso came on, and like I say, I thought he was contender for man of the match. I thought he was superb. Very much the dark arts coming out, a bit of housery from Peter Kioso, winning some fouls that the referee was giving that just weren't fouls, and he was throwing himself to the floor. But that's what you got to do to get points away from home, especially when you're in a relegation scrap. Ter Avest, it was interesting, he came on more as a right wing. We went kind of 4-4-2. He came on the right hand side a bit further forward, combining with Matty Phillips, combining with Idris El-Mazouni at times. Obviously, I think, like I say, he's very, very fortunate to not give up a penalty. It'd be interesting to see if all the reports about the incoming winger are to be believed, and it seems, you know, by some of the foreign press and what they're reporting. It'd be interesting to see how kind of he is used, given his connection with the man that is reportedly coming in. Matty Phillips, I thought it was a shocking performance from Matty Phillips. Gave the ball away a lot. He was brought on as kind of just to kind of hold up play, see out the game, play as the second striker up alongside Harris, while Harris was on the pitch, and he so many times gave the ball away. I've said before, I don't think Matty Phillips should be the first option. We should be going to, you know, we've got Will Goodwin. Use him if he's not going to be sent out on loan. Use Owen Dale. Use Kyle Edwards, whose his contract is at the minute sort of up. You know, obviously yet to wait and see what happens with Kyle. I think Matty Phillips has to fall well down the pecking order in terms of getting opportunities to feature for this Oxide, because his last few have not been good from Matty Phillips. Idris El-Mazouni and Louis Sibley came on with 10 and 4 minutes of the game left respectively. Didn't do an awful lot, so you can't really you can't really go into too much, you know, being on for such a short amount of time. But yeah, you know, the most positive news out of all this is, of course, the fact that we are up to 18th. We've got a nice 5-point cushion over the relegation zone, of course, with an extra game more than Hull, or a game to play over Hull. Yeah, we're very important to get that cushion. Obviously, Portsmouth were the only side like ourselves in the bottom, almost the bottom 9, bottom 8 clubs to win a game. You know, big positives for the two promoted sides. Get a bit of air between ourselves and the relegation zone. Obviously, long way to go in this campaign. 22 games still to play. But, you know, this form under Gary Rowett has really been positive for this football club, for our form. And yeah, it's been a truly incredible first, you know, 10 days almost under Gary Rowett. And yeah, you know, finally a win away. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on Oxford's 1-0 win at the Den on New Year's Day, finally getting our first win of the campaign. And I'll see you for a review of the Preston game, where hopefully we can get another 3 points. Look, I think a point against Preston would be vital. You know, get another point kind of away from the drop zone. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on the Millwall game, and I'll see you for the next video.